Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and today I thought we'd have a look at this. Not the cardboard box, what's inside the cardboard box. This is what I was mentioned in a previous video, and what we've got in here is a big pile of Commodore C16s and Plus4 that's snuck in there as well. Now, these go back quite a long time with me. I got these many years ago. I actually had about over 20 of them. I got them from a car boot sale. It was probably very early 2000s. It was a chance conversation on a car boot sale. A guy literally just had one of these, a tape player and a handful of software. I asked him how much he wants it for, and he goes, "5 mate." So I said, fair enough, I'll have that. Because there was quite a few bits with it, and he said, "Are you interested in that old stuff?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Right, I've got," he said, "if you're interested," he said, "I've got quite a few of them computers I got from clearing an old computer shop." He said, "They're in my lockup." He said, "Would you be interested in taking any more of them?" I said, "How many have you got?" He said, "Probably about 20. So I said, "Do you want a fiver like this?" He said, "Make me an offer on the lot," and I bought all 20 of them. About 15 dataset players, a couple of Plus4s, power supplies, the lot, and I think I'd give him 50 quid for the lot, which was, back then, probably people would have thought, what are you wasting £50 on? Over the years, I got most of them working, using various spares and cannibalising ones which I deemed weren't worth getting working quick and easy. Basically what I've got here are all the dregs from that lot. These are all ones that at the time, I probably haven't touched one of these seriously. I mean, I've messed a little bit with a couple, but I haven't messed with them seriously for getting on for probably 8-9 years. Back then I'd just swap bits over, get one working, flog it. I'd get about £25 each for them back when I was selling them. Obviously they seem to be worth a bit more than that now, and it's probably worth my while having a look through this box and seeing how many of these demics I can actually get working. I will say that I think all these are missing their CPUs and their TED chips. Fortunately, I do have, and these are the last I have. I can't get any more, unfortunately. But I do have a few spare TED chips. I think I've got a couple of spare CPUs, which will really be the deciding factor on how many of these I can actually probably get working. I don't intend to try and buy any more of them. I have searched China. My girlfriend has helped me search China, and it appears that basically there are no more even hiding about in China. So yeah, that's pretty much it for replacement TED chips. Right, let's get into this box and see exactly what we've got. I think there's 3 or 4 of them in here. Right, I think there's 4. We have that's a Commodore Plus4 PSU. It's a bit like the style of the older C64 wedge-shaped PSUs, the only difference being, and I think the voltages actually, yeah, 9 volts at 1 amp AC and 5 volts at 1.5 amp. So it's pretty much very similar to a C64 PSU, apart from the connector is different. That's very similar to the Amiga style connector, apart from it's got fewer pins in it. So it's not compatible with the Amiga. It's completely different wrong voltages for the Amiga, but it's a very similar style connector. So we've got a Plus4 PSU. And I do have, actually that's not working, that's probably, at least one of the CPUs and one of the TEDs will go in my really nice minty Commodore Plus4, I've got a boxed one in really nice condition, but it doesn't work. So I think that actually might be the power supply from it. I think I was using that to test this one here. So that's one that we will get on and definitely get fully up and working. I'm not actually a huge fan of using the Plus4. These things run hot, the chips run hot, and I think they're a little bit too constricted in the older Plus4. I actually much prefer the C16. We have a C16 power supply, so that'll be handy. Again, it's like no other Commodore power supply, as it's a looks like something more you'd find on a Spectrum. It's just a little standard DC jack like that, and it produces 9.5 volts, 800 milliamps. I'm not sure whether it's centre or what's it, positive, so I don't know whether you could use a just straight use of the Spectrum power supplies. 800 milliamps, so consumption wise it shouldn't be a problem, and the half a volt wouldn't make an issue because obviously it's regulated down in the computer. I'm just not sure whether that's centre positive or centre ground. I'll find that out anyway. Right, let's get into the computers themselves. So we've got, that one doesn't look in, I don't think any of these are screwed together either. That one doesn't look in particularly bad. In fact, let's get this, we'll get the box off the table. We'll put the box out of harm's way, and I'll bring them up one at a time and we can have a quick look and an assess of them. That one is actually quite, just get you, I'll have to bring you down a bit I think. Oops, and then that way. Right, we've got number 1 out. This one's actually not in particularly bad condition. It's missing its badge, the C16 badge from there. The keyboard looks in quite nice condition, and it's actually not particularly yellow. These grey keyboards it's got a little bit of yellowing on the space bar there, but these can go horrifically yellowed, and they don't look very nice when they've done that. That one's actually in quite nice condition. You know, it hasn't got any screws in. So these were literally spares machines, so I probably didn't put it. Oh, there we go, it's open. And well, it don't look too bad in there. Just push that out of the way. It looks fairly clean and tidy in there. Oh, this is one that I've been playing with. Yeah, I wonder why I gave up on this one. I wonder if it has got an issue. Obviously it's got the TED and the CPU missing there. As you can see, I was looking at installing it. In fact, I think years ago I did a video on playing with this one. I was installing a little cooler in it like that to help get the heat out of it. I've also been doing a 64K RAM upgrade on this one. I'm not sure why I've stopped. I never went any further with this. I wonder if it's got an issue. Although they're quite a simple computer, I should be able to fix it. I have a feeling I did do a video on this one. The RAM's been removed and 2 sockets have been put in its place. Now these shipped with 16K. That was the whole point. You had the Commodore Plus4 with its built-in software and 64K of memory, and then the cut-down version was basically this, which didn't have the built-in software. That's no loss really. It wasn't that good. It was usable just about for certain things, but it only had 16K of RAM. Now, it is fairly easy, it's not a major issue to actually upgrade it to a full 64K of RAM internally. Basically, you remove the 4 116s and replace them with 4 164s. I think, I'll find out exactly what the RAM is you need to replace, but basically it's it was 16K by 4. 2 lots of 16K by 4, and you replace them with 2 lots of 64K by 4. Exactly what's used in the C64Cs. That will fit. I've got some kicking about somewhere. I'll have to dig some out. Spectrum 128Ks, the Plus4 128K. the grey ones. I believe they use 4 of them for the RAM, because you've got 128k, so 2 of them will work. I know I've got loads kicking about somewhere, so I will find some 64k RAM. And obviously any of these that I do get working will get upgraded to 64k RAM internally. So this one, like I said, it's one, we're not going to do any repair work on this video. This is just an overview video. So this one, well, obviously we'll have to find out why I gave up on it. It's probably, I probably ran out of time, or I got onto something else, or I found something and just moved on to another one. But we will try and get this this one up and running. Like I say, it's in quite nice condition, really. Keyboards. If the board is dead, certainly the case and keyboard will be one that goes into a fully finished system. It isn't bad at all, that. Let's have a look at another one. Grab this one. Alright, again, we are missing a key off this one, and it actually has got a broken off the pillars. Actually, it looks, yeah, it's all melted. It looks like someone's tried to glue that in the past and basically ballsed it up. And they've actually stuck the plunger, it's all melted. So I'll have to, if we look at this one, it obviously will need some little bit of work on the keyboard. Again, keyboard is not horrendously yellowed like some of these that I've seen are. It does have its badge. Unfortunately, it's obviously come off and someone's stuck it back down rather poorly. It's all raised up there and it's cracked and broken. So we'll have to see what we can do about that. Let's have a look inside this one. Yeah, again, no real work's been done. A fuse is missing, that's interesting. It is missing its fuse. Obviously, again, it's missing its TED and it's missing its CPU. Incidentally, the CPUs on these are unique to this range of computers. The Plus4, the C16, and that. I can't remember what it's called. I don't think it was ever released in the UK, and it's very rare. It's basically, it looks like a Plus4, but it's got rubber keys on it. I'd love to get hold of one, actually. But I think it's only them three systems that use this CPU, and is it an 85 something or other? I can't remember what it's, which it is off the top of my head, but it is unique to them 3 systems. And it's a derivative of the 6502. It's just got some extra little bits on it, some extra address lines, I think. But I've been looking online, and apparently you can make a little board up and adapt a C64 CPU to actually run in one of these. Now, it won't work perfectly, apparently. You lose some things. You lose the ability to control the tape motor on the cassette. I think that's the only major issue there is with doing that conversion. There is a guy selling like a little plug-in board that has a C64 CPU on it, and you basically plug it in there with this little adapter board, and it allows it to run in a C16 or a Plus4. I'm going to look more into that, because I think I've only got 2 replacement CPUs for this. I've actually got more TEDs. That's if I can get them all working. Like I said, I think I've got 4 of them. Yeah, it looks like I've got 4 of them. I've got 4 TEDs, I think, and I think I've only got 2 CPUs, so that's something we can look at. Mightn't be a major issue, because I was thinking possibly with the old SD to IEC, whether I could install an internal SD to IEC in perhaps a couple of these. One for me to keep and one for me to probably sell on. Have all the... Basically, I could have pretty much all the C16 software that's available and the Plus4 software that's available on that. Fit it internally, and there'd never really be a need for a tape drive. So that wouldn't be a problem, and I could do it like that, and you basically can load all your software through the SD card. So yeah, that's another one that's certainly, well, the board looks doesn't look molested or anything. Obviously, we'll find out what we're not going to do with any of these computers is just shove a TED and a CPU in and hope for the best, because them chips are just far too precious. We're going to make sure there's nothing on this board erroneous that could possibly damage either of them ICs before we even attempt to put the ICs in the board. Right, so that's number 2. So cosmetically, like I said, it's got a few issues on it. We've got to address that key there. I don't know what I can do about that, but we'll see. We mightn't be able to get all of these work. In fact, I do want one of these cases for something else, so we probably will sacrifice. In fact, we probably will have to sacrifice one of them to get the requisite keys that we need. So anyway, I'll put that one to one side. We'll get another one. Yeah, we do have 4, and again, unfortunately, it's missing its C16 badge. This one does have a little bit of yellowing on the keys, as you can see. That side's looking quite original, a little bit of yellowing, and then it goes much more yellow to this side. So this is what I was saying about the yellow quite badly, these keys. And we are missing a key there. In fact, we're also missing, I wonder if I actually pinched that in the past for another one, because the plunger and everything's missing off it. So I wonder if I've actually pinched that. Unbelievably, I think this one's got screws in it. Well, it's got at least one screw in it. So let's get the old screwdriver, and we'll get in here and we'll have a look. We've got a suitable bit. Yeah, that'll do. So let's have a look in here. Ooh, well, that's interesting. It's still got its shield, a bit like you see on the C64. It's just paper. So get that out of the way. I don't expect to find a CPU or a TED in here. There are some cobwebs, but let's have a look. No, again, no CPU or TED, but everything looks tidy. I've not don't look like I've made any attempt to replace the RAM, and it is HM4416, I think. It's HM4416, that, and you can change that for HM4464 or whatever is equivalent from a different manufacturer. It's quite nice it's got that in it. I don't think any of the other ones I've got have. So yeah, that's again tidy. We'll go through the same procedure, but we'll do that in another video. We'll strip all these boards out, and we'll go through the boards one at a time, power them up without the chips in them, and do a few basic checks before we go much further. We want to make sure basically that the voltage regs and things like that are gonna be alright in them. So put that one away, and we've got one more. Yeah, this one's probably, I think, the worst of them. Oh, apart from that, Plus4, we'll leave that one till last. Yes, one's open. Again, actually the keys aren't bad on this, so this might be a good donor for the other ones, because it has got a lot of keys missing. They're snapped off. The shift lock is completely missing. I've obviously used that for something else, and they're all broken off. Although they are just snapped off, they don't look like anyone's tried to glue them like that other one. And it's got its escape key we need for the other one. And actually that one we've just looked at has got a... that's a pain. The one we just looked at's got a 6 missing, and so's this one. So we are going to be short a 6 key. We'll see what we can do with that. We might have to have a look with a bit of letraset or something and see if we can recreate one out of a different key. Anyway, I find a 9 and turn it upside... No, we can't because they're shaped. That's a shame. I was thinking about a 9 and turn it upside down, but they are shaped keys, so that's not going to work. Right, let's have a look inside this one, see what state this one's in. And it's exactly the same. But these have been worked over before. No CPU, no TED. It's got its ROMs, it's got its RAM, and I've not attempted to do anything with it. That's pretty much it. So it's in reasonable condition. In fact, it's not in bad condition at all, really. And again, unfortunately, we are missing the C16 badge. I'm sure actually I've got a C16 badge kicking about loose somewhere, so I think I've got at least 2. So that's 4 C16s in a slightly sorry state. And we have a Plus4. Now I believe this might actually work. It is missing some parts, and it is a spares machine. I have a feeling I was using this at one point to test CPUs and TEDs. So I think it does actually work. I think it may actually also have a CPU and a TED in it. And I did pinch them keys to repair a customer's C16 a while back. Yeah, it does seem to have a good. We've got the TED there, and we've got the CPU there. The CPU for those is is that an 8501? I think it's an 8501. That's an original one. These are, in fact, that will need a heatsink on if we're going to decide to use it. Another reason why I don't particularly like the Plus4. You can't get a really good heatsink on them. There's not enough room with where the keyboard lies. They were very packed computers, really. You put a big heatsink on there, you're not going to get the keyboard on it, and it's not going to work really very well anyway, because you've not got a lot of airflow there. That's why I much prefer the C16. You can put a nice big heatsink on the CPU and TED, and there's plenty of room for it. And like you saw with that other one that I've been messing with, there is enough room in there to fit some kind of fan and actually get some airflow moving in them. Because if you've got one of the original Revision 1 CPUs, they run ridiculously hot, and I think that's basically what kills them, is the cycling, the heat cycling of them. If you can get one of the later CPUs, they did actually end up remaking these because there was such a high failure rate, and I think the later ones are dated sometime in the late 1980s. This one's dated 84. Apparently those are the newer ones are a lot more reliable. But they're so scarce, these ICs anyway. Basically you've got to get what you can if you've got one of these. What I'd say is if you really want to run a Plus4, run it with one of the later CPUs in it. A C16, you could put one of the earlier CPUs in it and a nice big heatsink on it, and you should be okay. You should be good to go. I wonder if we actually try and fire this up and just see if it does work. It will at least give us a test bed. So I have a feeling I've used this one as a test bed in the past. So the keyboards, and the only other problem is the keyboard between the Plus4 and the C16 aren't compatible. Well, they're electrically compatible, but the interface, the cables, completely different. Yeah, I've had to repair that in the past, I think. Might be enough there to get it working. Seeing we've got a power supply for one here, I think we'll have a go, see if we can get some output from this thing. We've got video. I wonder if this thing can output S-video. We'll see, because I think the only video lead that I've got which would be compatible at the moment is that S-video lead off my C64. Let's have a... I don't know where my other lead is at the moment, I must admit. Let's try it. We'll see if it gives out S-video. So if we get a blank screen on this, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with it. It could just mean that it doesn't output S-video, but that's why we do these experiments, because we can find out and it's not going to do any harm. Get that cable from there. So we've got an S-video lead. And plug that in there. Yeah, that goes in. How does it go in the other way? It goes in that way, doesn't it? Some audio. We're going to need that. Plug that in there. Okay. Well, that's not good. That doesn't bode well when the screw's hanging out of the plug, does it? And that would be because I've pinched the fuse out of it at some point. I was obviously desperate for a fuse. Let's see if I can find my fuse box. There is my fuse box. Okay, have you got any suitable fuses? Really what we want is a 3 amp for in there, but I don't think I've got any. I need to order some 3 amps. I've got more 13s than I will ever need, because everything I seem to come across, I think a good chunk of them 13s in there you can see have actually come out of like ZX Spectrum PSUs. I've not bought a 13 amp fuse in years, because it seems that every plug that I open there should have a 3 or a 5 amp fuse in it, has a bloody 13 amp fuse in it. But we'll stick a 5 in here just for now. I will be changing that for a 3 amp as soon as I go and get some. But it will be okay for initial testing. So we'll stick a fuse in there so at least we can power the thing up. And we can give it a quick try. So I'm pretty sure I use this as a test bed. It would stand to reason the fact that it's got a TED and a CPU in it, and they've both got good on them in marker pen. So that kind of gives an idea that I have been using it for testing. Right, so we can plug some power in. Power at the end there. Right, we'll plug in the monitor. Plug, hopefully that's the monitor powering up. We will plug in the, is that off or on? That's in the off position at the moment. Where's my remote for the telly? Let's get that onto one of the AV channels. That should be it. We'll plug this in. There we go. Now, point you up on the monitor so you can actually see if anything comes up on screen. So we'll switch on, and we will switch on there, and we get nothing. Just make sure I'm on the right, on the right channel. No, we're not getting anything. It could be that this thing just doesn't output. That's flickering the screen. It could just be that this thing doesn't output S-video. Which is a possibility. Is that really? Yeah, it's on. Nope. I wonder if we could try RF. I think this teller's still got RF connected up. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Is it down there? I know I hid it somewhere. No, perhaps I unplugged it because I weren't using it. I was pretty sure I did leave RF on this thing, just a cable hanging out. In fact, I wonder if that would work. Let's just try a couple of things. Try seeing if this will get us anything out. Anything there? Well, that's more like it. It's at least doing something. Let's try the red one. There we go. It's a bit flickery. That's probably my cables more than anything else on this slightly worn out monitor, and the monitor's doing its usual thing. I do have something I'm going to replace this with, but yeah, that one does indeed work. I'm not going to run it for too long because obviously, like I said, there's no heat sinks on them on the CPU or the TED, but we do have a working board here, so at least we've got a test board if we want to test anything else. I'll probably plug a keyboard in. I think this keyboard does have issues actually. I think that's why I decided to use it as a donor. Let's see if it does work anyway. At least a bit. Let's connect it in. And the connector that these use is horrible. It really isn't nice. It's not like all the other Commodore machines. It's a bit like what you find on the what's it? The BBC. I've brain fart. Definitely brain fart. The BBC Acorn Electron. That's the one. It's very much like the keyboard connector you find on them. Right. Let's see now if the keyboard indeed works. No. I had a feeling there was something wrong with the keyboard on this, but at least it shows that the power light works. But no, the keyboard is. I had a feeling, like I said, I did have a feeling there was something wrong with the. There was something wrong with the keyboard, but as you can see, it's not. It's not working at all. That. But that doesn't really matter. Like I said, it's. This was more about. Oh, incidentally, what I'm using for an AV cable, that is actually what I made up for my Sega Master System Mega Drive composite. It's like a multi-cable. That's Atari 8-bit. I can then plug that into it like that. That gives me Sega for Mega Drive and Master System Mark 1's composite. How I'm using it now, what it's connected to there at the moment, that's the audio output which I'm actually plugging into the video. You can do that. You can't get sound out of it that way because the audio is on different pins, but the audio that it would use in this configuration is actually where the video is on the Commodore 64, if you know what I mean. That's how we can just do that. Like, so we can't get sound out of it, but at least it just proves that the main board is working, and we can, like I said, we can actually use this as a basically as a test board. Let's get the, or at least a test board to some extent. I also have some of the strange joysticks that these things take. You can use an adapter, it's not an issue if you haven't, but I actually, strangely enough, quite like them. They're a rather unusual design. So then they use a tiny... Well, you've seen this is the other strange thing about the this Plus4 and C16 range. They don't use standard D-type connectors for the joysticks. They use these tiny little micro DINs. And again, for the cassette player, they use a tiny little micro DIN like that instead of your standard edge connector. You can actually get an adapter that plugs onto it. I think then you can use the standard C64 or VIC-20 dataset. I think I've still got a couple of actual C16 Plus4 datasets with that little connector on it. I will have to have a hunt through all my junk and dig them out. I do know they've got damaged cables on them though, because they were stored in one of my storage units, and a rat got in, and I don't know why, but it seemed to take a great liking to the installation on them cables and ate it all. But I think I've still got two of them kicking about. We could probably at least resurrect at least one, so we've got something we can load some tape software on these things. And I have still got tons and tons of tape software. In fact, one really nice thing what I would like to be able to do is see if I can find some like tape to disc software for the C16 and transfer all them onto well, it wouldn't be floppy drive, it'd be SD card, or like I said, use an SD to IEC, and transfer them all onto a card like that, and I can play my entire C16 games collection, which is probably about 40 titles or so, from an internal SD card. Anyway, I'm going to leave this video here for now. In the next video, I think we'll probably dig out one. We'll leave this just as a board that we know that works, so we can test TEDs and CPUs and just confirm they're definitely working before they go in a board. And we'll dig out the first of them C16s and we'll do some initial tests on it. We'll then see if we can get the board up and running. So like I say, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little part one of the C16 and Plus4 adventure. So thanks for watching and goodbye.